Everyone, how's it going? So today we are going to discuss the interview process of ZSassociates and particularly how to prepare for it, the sources that you should refer. So if your interview is coming up with ZSassociates in the coming weeks, then you should refer to this video because it is dedicated to you. We are going to look at what are the interview phases, how to prepare for each phases, which involves the sources that you should refer to, and what will be the difficulty level of these phases. And particularly my interview experience, that how was it and what else that we have to discuss. So first, looking straight at the number of phases that we have here, day 1 and day 2. These are not conducted simultaneously. Day 2 might be conducted a week or even 2 weeks after the day 1 for the shortlisted students. The phase 1 has aptitude round, simple aptitude, quants, English, data interpretation. Those who pass this get a link for mini case study round, which is mostly on data interpretation and some SQL based questions. This requires a bit of understanding and the thought process. Then if you qualify this, you move to the phase 2, that is video interview. Um, in this, you do not interact with anybody during behavioral interview or guesstimates. You are moreover recording your answers in the web browser, which are evaluated later. So during behavioral interview, question will be flashed on the screen for the first 30 seconds, and after that, in next 3 minutes, you are expected to answer to the questions, and then next question will come up. Same as for the guesstimates, you have to apply your logical thinking, how what major factors you want to involve and what are the conditions, small guesses that you are making, you have to mention. Then phase 3, case study. It is more exhaustive and extensive in comparison to the phase 1 mini case study. It will really require you to focus for the 1 hour long case study and understand the questions, the business questions, interpret the data, and particularly focus on how you're going to apply your knowledge of SQL and DBMS on this. Because when you will have your technical round for 30 minutes, you will be asked on this case study, like what did you actually understand? And in HR round, you will have similar questions to behavioral interview and tell me something about yourself, and questions like why do you want to join CS. Then if you look at phase 1 aptitude round, then you can quite look that I have mentioned a number of topics right here along with the resources which you should refer, particularly Prep Insta. These topics are mentioned by their order of importance or frequency of questions that is asked. You should, particularly if you are like even a little good at English, then you'll be able to solve all these questions. The difficulty is easy to medium, so if you ever find a difficult question, just directly skip it. For data interpretation questions, use indiabix.com. For programming based questions, basic understanding of OOPS is enough. Output based questions will be asked. Those are easy in general, like a definition of a class or variables will be given and you have to select the output. The next up, we have the mini case study in the phase 1 part 2. This will have a few questions, a few tables that you have to understand, interpret data, answer the question like how is this product going to behave in future, which product has increased its sales. So you have to look at the two tables, the previous sales, the current sales, and you have to compare. Then it is basically to test your power of interpreting the data. You can prepare from these sources mentioned: indiabix.com, prepinsta, geeks for geeks for basic SQL understanding, because SQL based, directly SQL based questions can also be asked. Then these are the topics in total that are covered during this process. Then also the other sources from where you can actually practice the case study, and for more understanding, YouTube link I have mentioned, these you should refer. In phase 2, we have behavioral interview questions. So this is one of the important rounds, because if you do not prepare for it, then you won't be able to like speak at all in this one. So question will be like, what will you do in this kind of a situation, like your teammate does not coordinate with you, or if what will you do if it is a really difficult project and nobody is skilled enough for this one. So you can say that I will train particularly myself, work hard, get certification in particular skills, and then I will also encourage my team and lead from the front to complete that task. Then what will you do if you commit a big mistake? You will apologize for it, or you will try to hide it. Those kind of things you have to answer. And particularly based on your past, you have to mention a scenario that has happened in your life, and you have to answer in reference to that. So it is basically checking that your personality and your ethics sometimes that they want to know before recruiting you into their company. So these are some of the links. Particularly, you should go through the first link. There are a number of questions explicitly and cleanly answered in this one on algoexpert.io. Then phase two, guesstimate we have. Then what is guesstimate? In this, you have to make logical calculations and guesses. Uh, Question could be like, how many airplanes landed on Delhi airport today, or how many red Swift cars in Pune? What is the population of young men in Maharashtra? Like, how many tennis balls can be fixed in a Boeing 777? So by solving a few questions, you can understand what is an average length of an aircraft, then what is the width, so you can calculate the complete volume of the aircraft, what is the volume of one tennis ball, so you can divide that. But you will also consider a small cavity that is left in the center of four tennis ball uh, stick together, right? So that you will have to minus at the end. So you will have to make a proper guesstimation by only looking at the major factors. You can be like horribly wrong in this case, but it should be known that you have applied your logical thinking, and with more knowledge you could have actually come to a better solution. It should look like that. So after the guesstimate questions, if you are selected, then after 2 weeks or something, you will get your interview link for the phase 3 case study. And in this, mostly this is more extensive and exhaustive, like I have mentioned, in comparison to the mini case study. In this also, you will be given a number of tables. You have to understand them. You have to actually create an understanding how businesses questions are applied to this, how data is flowing, how the data will be cleaned first. Or it can also be asked like, there are different columns are given, then how will you apply some of the ETL processes. So if you have understanding of orchestration or ETL, then it will be impressive for you for this round. You should actually go through some of the case studies, particularly from the links that I have mentioned. Your basic understanding of SQL, joins, group by, aggregation will help you go through this round. And you should, while going through this round, you should also keep in mind that whatever you prepare, whatever you understanding you think, you should make notes, because questions will be asked based on this case study in the technical interview. So in this, first of all, the areas that technical interview covers is, tell me something about yourselves. Prepare this one really well. Mention your name, your college, your minor, your CGPA. Then come to your projects that you have created, just the idea of it, and up to what level you took your projects, like some kind of achievements. If you have any, then you should mention that. You should not mention the details of the project, just the gist of it, like the interesting part. Interesting part is the idea and the achievement. That's it. Then once you're done with that, then he will move on to the case study for next 30 to 35 minutes. You'll discuss on to that, like why did you come up with a certain solution, what better you could have done. He will also hint you with some better solutions, so you should keep on asking him if how you could have done better. Then your resume based question will also be asked, like which is your main coding language, the projects that you have done or the tools. Like if you have machine learning as minor, then he might ask you to write a simple code in machine learning, because at ZSassociates all kind of technologies are used. So if you are well versed and are more relevant to a particular technology, then you'll be asked questions in that. Then your approach, I've mentioned 5 points here that you should keep in mind when you're covering your tech interview. And what is not asked is like in detail, any kind of coding concepts will not be asked. Your computer networking related, your operating system questions won't be asked in depth. A little knowledge, that is all that is expected. In the HR interview, the main things that will be covered is, tell me something about yourself. Of course, if it's a different person, he will ask you again. Then resume based question, mostly non-technical, but can be technical based on the HR interviewer. Then behavioral interview questions will be asked, like even 2, 3, 4 questions will be asked, unless he is done, unless he's made up his mind that to accept or reject you. Then why is yes? In this you should answer like uh, what are the cultural values, how you can grow there, how would you like to work, and what are the relevant things you find in common with your career growth and with ZS, that is the reason to join it. And then what else is tested is your passion and personality. So the tone and energy that you maintain throughout the interview is important. Like when you're actually answering for the question of tell me something about yourself, if you mention just 2, 3 points or just your name, then that won't be enough. You have to talk in this round particularly. So learn about their company, when it was founded, who is the CEO, how much revenue they have, where do they have their offices, how they have been doing particularly during the COVID-19, how have they performed. Like ZSassociates have hired um, a lot of people during the pandemic, so you should know that. And why? Because their business is doing really well. Then that is the end of it. Any kind of questions that you may have, you can ask on this Instagram channel that you have mentioned here. Thank you, and that's it. Bye bye.